Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of 0 to 60. Now this episode I'm going to be playing with the DCT clutch. And I say playing because it's in bits, I need to put it back together, and I wouldn't mind learning a bit more about how they actually work, and it might show you guys something that you didn't know either. But it is the month of July. I have to remind everyone, if there's any businesses that are looking to advertise on the channel, I really need to get it locked in July. So please hit me up in the comments below, in the email, in the description. I'd love to try and keep this going. We're getting close. I have another business that is coming on board, so I really need just one more company, and we can keep doing videos. I won't have to get a job. I know it sounds terrible, but that is the reality of it. I'm living with my sister at the moment, and doing 0 to 60 full-time costs a lot of money, as you guys will know when you modify cars, let alone when you modify 3 or 4 at once. Oh, and the other thing, the promo code for new shop is still going on the 0to60.com website. I really want to clear out all of the old stock that I have from what we had set up at the old place. That's the merchandise, the parts, everything. So everything is 25% off, and the code is just below new shop. If anyone needs anything, let me know. Right, so this episode, it's on a DCT clutch. If you have been following along, you'll know that my single turbo car is a little bit unhappy. Now, I know people have sort of gathered and taken little drips and drabs across all the videos I've been doing over the last month. However, just to make it fully clear what's happened with that car, because I've been trying to work it out as well, the car, the gearbox, the DCT, it actually flared on the first drive when I had the single turbo kit on, and I'll try and put a little clip in here. So that's weird, that's DCT slipping. Now, that car had been parked up for a bit over a month. It's still running the original flash that was on the DME, and it still had the JB4 connected at that point in time. So nothing had changed tune-wise, but it was flaring. Now, I just thought that maybe it lost adaptations, or it was because it had a flat battery, something like that. I didn't think much of it. I thought it was going to learn through it and get better, and it kind of did. The gear shift flare dissipated a little bit, but then over the next week or two, I started noticing it was struggling to take off in first gear. I also went through and I noticed that it was struggling to take off in second gear. Now, at this point in time, I didn't really know what was going on. The car still seemed to hold gear fine when I was on a pull, and even the 25 and 28 PSI pulls that I did with this single turbo, which is a huge amount of power. It has to be 700 wheel horsepower. It seemed to hold it fine under load. Don't forget, that transmission come out of a wreck that I bought. The car had 200,000 kilometers on it when I bought it. It's then been in my car for about 8,000 kilometers worth of 600 wheel horsepower, 17T of use. So the clutch is due to be replaced. It's due to be worn. It's not that surprising. But what was throwing me off was that it would only really slip taking off. I did a clutch readaptation with ISTA, the full process, and it didn't make any difference. Then I drove the car for another week, beat on it a little bit harder, and then did another adaptation and got different values. So I noticed that clutch A was actually now slipping, or the clutch A adaptation had changed, and for some reason, after doing the second adaptation, I could take off in second gear okay, where it would slip before. So it's all been a bit weird, not sure what's going on, and I'm not going to know until I take that gearbox out and take it apart. It could be something like a gunked up filter, just not getting the normal amount of pressure, although that would show in the adaptation procedure. I really don't know, but there's a good chance my clutches need replacing, and there was a good chance they needed replacing before that gearbox even went into my car. So this is where I'm at now. Now, I do also want to make it clear, I'd love to be putting an upgraded clutch in. I know I should be putting an upgraded clutch in, but an upgraded clutch for DCT is just very expensive. And I'll be frank, if anybody knows any DCT clutch companies, or if you know somebody that works at a DCT clutch company that wants to help the channel, even a discount would be greatly appreciated, because I do want to push this car. However, a friend of mine had a near new, but in bits, DCT clutch. Now you'll see here, it's come out of an S55 car with about 3,000 kilometers on it. This was actually replaced under warranty for having an issue. Hopefully you can see me. But the issue never went away when the clutch got replaced. So I'm hoping this clutch is all good, but as part of the investigation, it actually got taken apart. So let me show you what we're working with here. Hopefully you can see it all right. So this is the box of clutches. We have a couple of snap rings, and then we have the main clutch basket. So this is pretty much how it's been supplied to me. Now this piece here is something that I was going to say the manufacturer, but basically that BMW supply with them when they're new. or Getrag, or whoever makes these clutches, I can't remember. And it's to hold all the plates in alignment when they're new. Now this obviously had been used, so everything was out of alignment, and this never went back in. But this was from when it was new, and I guess if you get all the plates aligned, it should slot back in place. I do know there is a proper tool with 4 rods that you actually use to assemble these clutches. They're about 300 Australian dollars, so I don't have one of them, and I'm going to see if we can do it without that proper tool. So we have those 2 snap rings. The top section should come off. And the other reason I wanted to do this video, I kind of just wanted to see inside one of these clutch baskets, and see how they work. You are hopefully aware, let me try and not lose it all. Actually, is that a bearing? Yeah, that's a bearing, which we don't want to lose. Another reason for filming this is so I can put it back together from this point. But basically, we have 2, hopefully you can see there's 2 splines. There's a big spline at the back and then an inner spline to the front. This is the front spline, and that's how the 2 clutches work. They're actually 2, it's one input shaft, but there's an outer and an inner section to the input shaft, and that's how it gives it the dual clutch functionality. Do I want to take this? Yes, I'm taking it apart. We're going to learn today. Okay. So this is the top basket. Cool. And it's another bearing. So I'm working this out as we go. I couldn't actually find any decent or informative videos on the clutch baskets in the DCT, so we're gonna learn together here. But this is the top. This is, what would you call it? It's really the inner basket. So the outer clutch packs are on this outer section here, and hopefully the camera is picking it up, but it's got teeth that go down in there, and those teeth bite on this edge of this basket, and that actually is what joins the outer clutch pack to the inner drive shaft, or the smaller input shaft, I should say. I'll put this aside, and I guess with that top piece off, this circlip, which was just in the box, or snap ring, that is what holds these clutch plates in. I feel we're going to be playing with fire once we start taking this apart. Okay, so that's something I've noticed. There's a fair bit of play. As the plates are all stacked in there, we've got probably a good 2 mil of movement on that outer basket, where this, if I put that snap ring just on one side, like that, same amount of movement. Okay, so that's fine. Which one should we take? I'll take the inside one out first, because this one, the snap ring's in, and I don't want to mess with it too much. So we've got the top plate. Cool. And then we have, what's going on here? Ooh, okay. So this inner clutch is connected to the larger input shaft in the transmission. If I take that off, we could really start playing with fire, but we'll pull it out. We'll see how we go. Okay, so we've got that inner basket there. We've got a bearing assembly and all that other bits and pieces here. So another bearing. It's a tapered, not tapered. I forgot what these bearings are called. I actually ordered one of these bearings when I rebuilt the ZF transmission. We have a thread on that piece, which I don't know what that thread is for. Why is that threaded? If you're watching this and you know, please let me know. Now I'm going to put that into this basket, which is how it sits once it's assembled. We have another bearing, which goes on that way. And that gives us easy access to the frictions and the steels. So these clutches are, I always relate them to a motorbike clutch. Unlike a motorbike clutch, I guess it's because it's the outer one, but basically that is a friction, and then this is a steel. There we go there. Now I don't want to pull too much of this apart, although I probably could, but hopefully you can get the idea. We have a stack of frictions and steels. The steel, as you can see, is what connects to the inner basket, and the friction connects to the outer basket. And the way that it works in the engine, in the transmission, the outer basket will be connected to the, let me get this right, the outer basket, am I going to get it right? Is that solid? Yeah, okay, so this is all solid. So the outer basket is connected to the engine, and then the inner baskets are connected to the transmission. And if this spins with the engine, once the clutch is grabbed, apply pressure through all the plates and the frictions, you then have a lockup between, a lockup's probably not the right word, but you then have a connection between the engine and the transmission. That was probably a really bad way to describe it. I hope it's sort of making sense to everyone that's watching. I'm going to pull a few more out, just to be nosy, okay? Take the steel out. And these are an absolute nightmare to line up, by the way. Don't want to get them the wrong way around. But I just want to see what sort of condition the frictions are in. Okay, we pulled two pieces out at once. I'll put the steel back in. We got the friction. I mean, this material looks brand new. And it's done about 3,000 Ks. But at least we're going to have a reference of what a good clutch looks like versus the clutch that is in mine currently. Yeah, even these, you can see a little bit of scoring, but they're not bad. Generally, you'll see hot spots on steels. I'm pretty happy with this. I'm not going to, the more I take apart, the worse it's going to be. But I am curious to work out how they actually apply pressure. So let's take it all out. I'm going to take it all out. We may regret this. Well, I may regret this. The steels are thick, over 1 mil. Much thicker than a motorbike clutch. Okay, so I've got the full stack of clutches out there, and you can see, hopefully you can see there, but we have the outer pieces of frictions that have steel on one side, friction on the other. Obviously it backs onto a surface on here that's important, but we basically have, how many frictions we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 frictions. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steels between them. And the steels, I think I showed you before, but they are quite thick. That's a steel, that's a thick bit. I could measure it, but it doesn't matter. This is all stock stuff. Obviously, with the upgraded clutches, they increase the number of frictions and steels, and it gives you a larger surface area to spread the load over this friction material. It gives you more friction material, more surface area, more clamping force, and the ability to hold more power. That's the key thing with the clutch upgrades. Anyway, the thing I was sort of curious about was this section. So you can see, hopefully you can see in there, hopefully the camera's going to focus, we've got 2 holes, and then there's a 3rd hole here. Now, there is also this surface between the bottom section and that little lip there. That must go onto a shaft inside the box, and I assume that then transfers oil pressure through either hole to activate either the A or the B clutch, whichever way it works. But it looks like this center section is like some sort of slave cylinder. I guess it's like a slave cylinder. We've got a rubber seal here. You can think of it more like a brake piston. That looks more familiar. But we can put oil pressure into the specific hole, and that's going to move this piece up into the clutches. And hopefully the camera's picking it up. If we get it on the right angle, you can see here, that line all the way around there, where it's been rubbing on this section here. And that is what forces these to come together and then not slip. The way they are at the moment, or when there's not pressure from the oil, I hope I'm describing this right and it's making sense. Obviously these can spin independently, and that means that the connection between the outer teeth and the inner teeth is not locked, but when you clamp them together, the inner teeth and the outer teeth move together, and that's how you get the drive through the clutch baskets. That's kind of just what I wanted to see. I mean, I can see there is a snap ring just here. Hopefully you guys can pick that up. But I reckon if I undo that snap ring, this piece will then come off, and then we can actually see inside that section. But I don't want to mess with it that much. I might do that. I might take that apart on my damaged one. But for now, this one being what should be a good clutch, I hope it's a good clutch, let's not mess with it too much. All right, guys. That's what I wanted to see anyway, how they were engaging, how the oil is getting to the inner basket and the outer basket. Definitely got enough room to add another clutch plate, though. It's like they designed these with the option or with the intention of an aftermarket company adding more clutch plates. It's kind of cool. All right. That's what I wanted to see. Hopefully some other people might find it interesting. I'm going to see if I can put it back together. I'll switch you over to time-lapse, and we'll see if we can get it fully reassembled with all the right snap rings in place and hopefully the right amount of space, and I'm not missing anything. We'll see how we go. So you've been watching me put a few plates in. When you put the frictions in, because they line up with the outer teeth, there's not really a lot of play. They're currently mounted in the basket that they need to be mounted in. But because the frictions mount to the inner basket, which is this little sucker here, you've actually got movement with the frictions. And I guess that's why these become a bit of a pain in the ass for people to assemble. So all I'm trying to do is get them all in a similar spot with the teeth lined up close to where they need to be. And then we'll see if we can get that other basket in, which I think I'm now ready to do. So we've got this piece. I still don't know why this is threaded. Again, I've never taken one of these off. Maybe they thread into the box. We'll find out, but we have got a bearing on that side and a bearing on this side. However, we got a fair bit of movement. This is why they have pins, and I guess why they're a bit of a nightmare to assemble. So that has all that movement. Try and get it centered. You guys can probably see it better than I can. And then we'll see if we can get this basket in. So it's going to go in the first one pretty easy. Second one, third one, fourth one, fifth one. Fifth? Yeah, there was 5 steels. That's in. That was easy. I was expecting that to be a bit more of a pain in the backside to do. However, we still haven't got all the holes lined up. Where do they line up? They go here. And they go these big holes. What does that even do? I don't think it does much. Huh. I wonder if the alignment tools, you actually put them in this thing and then you stack all the plates together. I don't know. If somebody knows a better way of doing this, feel free to share. Okay, so once that bit's on, we get this bearing goes in. It's got a nice little locator, so it's going to be close to where it needs to be. And the next thing is the top section. So this is what all the plates will push up against when there's pressure applied to them. And I think if I put the snap ring in, we're going to have a fair bit of clearance. A little bit of rust on it, but hey, it might help with the friction. So some snap rings are a nightmare to put in, some aren't too bad. This one's not too bad. You can do it with your hands. That's gone in. And then we have a similar amount of free play as what the outer one has, which hasn't been taken apart. Guys, I think this is going together okay. We've got a bearing which sits on this surface. So is the outer one aligned? I think the outer one is aligned. Let's see if this one goes in. That's gone down. I can see it's touching. Still don't know why we have holes. We need to align these holes with something. Okay, I was just having a quick play with this, which is how they transport them. I've worked out what this does. All this does is keep this part located. So this thing must locate on something in the gearbox. So you've got all this movement, where this, which goes through those 2 holes, just stops that from moving around too much and keeps it about where it needs to be. There you go. We learned what that does. Okay, I think I've worked it out. All that these 4 holes do with the proper alignment tools, they actually space all of the clutch plates perfectly. So there's nothing below this basket that it can actually join onto. We'll put this thing back in with the thread. I still haven't worked out what that thread does. Maybe we'll see. Maybe the clutch screws into the gearbox. That would make sense. Again, I've never taken one out. That one, that needs to be sort of centered, but not crucial. And then this goes in like that. I'm not going to move it too much, but I would be able to move it and move the clutch plates. So then this basket goes on, and we need to get those holes lined up. Okay, so that's gone down. Hasn't gone all the way down, has it? Or has it? Maybe it has. But if I put that drill bit in the hole, and go down into both baskets. So the 2 baskets are all lined up. Okay, so we've got the top one on. Now I'm doubting myself that it's spaced properly, but I'm pretty sure that has gone all the way down. We'll find out when we try and put this on. Which isn't ready to go on yet, but I'm curious now. Okay, yeah, it's fine. Okay, so I'm trying to get these 4 holes to line up with the 4 holes on here, and this does have, well, it's got to go a certain way around. There are different points, but we need to get it sort of close. So I'm just going to try and rotate all the plates. This is where a proper tool would probably be helpful. And we'll just see how close that is. Okay, we're getting close. In fact, I might have gone too far. Yeah, I think I've gone too far. I need to go backwards. Maybe a proper tool would be good. I'm not 100% sure why you need to align everything either. I might be doing this all in vain. I can't think why it would need to be aligned, to be honest. Let's see how we go. Okay, that appears to be lined up. Yeah, that goes through both. That goes through all 3 baskets. This one's not quite there. That one goes all 3. Hang on. Oh yeah, we are going through all 3 on that one as well. Okay, they are all now lined up. The drill bit goes all the way down on all holes. Okay, so this part, I just had a quick look online, and that actually needs to go down even further, which I might need to do with a hammer. Oh no, it has gone down by hand. All right, I think we're now ready to put the last snap ring in. And I did notice that there is a little tong. So that's gone in. Okay, we're not quite down enough. Try again. It's close. I think I've just got to change how I start this one. So if we start it there. Okay. We got this. It's going together. It's going to work. Hey, it's gone in. I think we're good. I might just move that away from that little tong a little bit. Tang, whatever you want to call it. It's probably a proper tool for this, but I think that'll do. It's got good engagement under all of them. I think we just reassembled a DCT clutch pack. The last thing is the little transport thing, which just holds that bottom section in. That's there. Win. Well, I think it's all back together. I'm not really sure how I filmed it, but hopefully it's all there. But yeah, we've got the top snap ring in. This piece, this little metal piece, which is only holding that small section right down the bottom. That goes all the way down. Seems to lock in place, keeps that in place. Yeah, guys, they're not that complicated. Maybe that's why there's no videos on them. They're really not that hard to pull apart. So, I have done it. As I said at the start of the video, this is just I'm currently a bit broke, trying to get a new shop, somewhere to live at the moment. Mediocre fix to my problem, because I don't think a standard clutch is going to do what I need it to do. On the flip side, I do kind of want to have the opportunity to push a standard clutch to its limits, a good one, not one that's done 200,000 Ks. And although my clutch was working okay with the 200,000 Ks on it, obviously it had never had a fluid change. And who knows what damage that has done to the clutch plates that were in it. The oil that come out when I actually checked the oil a week or two ago was pretty clean, but that doesn't mean that the clutch didn't have a load of damage done prior. Anyway, I'm gonna work out what I need to do. I still need to work out if my E92 is gonna hold coolant pressure, but I'm currently thinking I might just throw this clutch in, and then I can at least drive the car a bit more and have all the gears. Sounds like an idea. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Questions, tips, comments, down below as always. Really appreciate all the support. Thank you to everyone on Buy Me a Coffee. The members are huge, guys. The support is really, really good. And we're getting pretty close with the businesses as well. We are. And the businesses that are inquiring at the moment, they've got some cool stuff. And even if I can't work out something with a new shop and a proper thing, I'm going to give them a good shout out anyway. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Do appreciate it. Peace.